This is the short tutorial about grain lines and pattern placement, and these are the basics we have included. Knowing your grain lines and how to place and cut your pattern pieces is very important to know where the grain lines in fabric are if you're making up clothing pieces. Over time, they're easier to identify, but when you start, it can be hard to make out. Here are a couple of tips that you can use to find the grain. If you are unsure about grain lines and why they are so important, we have a tutorial which covers more information about them. In this example, the long ruler is lined up along the length of the fabric, called the selvage. This grain is called the warp. We've placed the square, which is a triangle-shaped ruler, flush to the ruler on the selvage. From this, we now have identified the weft grain, which is a straight grain that runs along the width of the fabric, and also the true bias, which is the 45-degree line, which can be used for different things. If you don't have a square, you can make one up by folding a piece of printing paper. Bring the short edge up to line up with the long edge as perfectly as possible, then press the crease in well. Then just tuck the rest of the paper in or cut it off. If the fabric has been cut accurately along the weft, the width of the fabric, you can fray off some of the threads to get a perfect grain line, like in this image. In this next example, we have used an off-cut of fabric that doesn't have a selvage or enough space to fray off a grain line. Use an erasable pen to draw out the warp and the weft by finding the most prominent threads that you can see. Remember that you have to test your erasable pen on your fabric first. As you can see, I'm dotting out a thread that you can see in the grain line, and then I'm drawing it in with a ruler. In this example, you can faintly see the grain lines running parallel with the lines that we have drawn. Doing this is a good way to train your eyes to see grain lines in fabric. To make sure you are on grain with pattern placement for a pair, measure out the same distance in multiple locations from the fold to either the selvage, warp side, or the weft edge. This makes sure that both pattern pieces will be cut out on the same grain. It is important that the grain line on the pattern piece lines up with the grain line on the fabric, otherwise the pattern piece will pull and not sit correctly when sewn to other pattern pieces. In this example, we have measured from the selvage to the grain line, which is the straight side of the pattern piece. This is how you can use the guidelines for pattern placement. As this pattern piece has a straight side that is on grain, we have placed it directly onto the guidelines. But this is not usually the case. So this is how you can place the pattern piece using the ruler method with the guidelines. If you want to fold the off-cut piece of fabric to cut a pair, you can measure from the guidelines drawn to the fold line with at least 2 rulers. This ensures that the fold is on grain and your pattern pieces are cut on the same grain.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tute and found it useful. If you haven't yet, like, share and subscribe to help other members of the sewing community find the video.